Oliver was an average teen. He would stay up late, hang out with friends, and go out to drink every now and then. It was all fun and games until he eventually got tired of doing nothing. He decided he would start doing something productive. A job, he thought, would be the best choice. He always enjoyed helping out with other people in his community, so he wanted to do something that would be local. There was an elderly couple around the age of 60 who needed help with raking old leaves in their lawn. When they asked him if he could help, he immediately said yes. They told him he could start tomorrow at around 5 p.m. Oliver was incredibly excited about this. He was finally doing something productive that would help out with the locals. So, at around 5, he arrived. They had given him a rake upon his arrival, and thanked him dearly for doing this. They left soon after for the wife's sister's birthday party. Their lawn was quite large, and because of this, there were many leaves. He had a garbage bag with him, in which he would collect the leaves. Around half an hour into the raking of the leaves, he noticed something at the far end of the lawn. A scarecrow. He didn't mind it at first, but as he got closer, he felt uneasy. It didn't look like an ordinary scarecrow. It had a leather jacket on, torn-up jeans, shoes, but no hat. It looked incredibly realistic, and he would have gotten rid of it. However, he ignored it and assumed it was made by the elderly couple. At around 8:30, the couple had come home. They thanked him and gave him $20. He was just about to leave when he asked, "Hey, where'd you get that scarecrow? It's pretty creepy." They looked at him puzzled. Then the man said, "We don't own a scarecrow." They looked all around and noticed nothing. The scarecrow had vanished. This made Oliver's stomach turn, but they shook it off. They thanked him and said goodbye. 2 days later, he was asked to work again. He went at the same time and began raking. That's when he noticed the scarecrow again, but this time it was different. It was incredibly closer to the house and formed a large grin across its face. Luckily, there weren't any leaves next to it, so Oliver didn't need to go over. At 6, he was done, so they thanked him again. This time, he never told them about the scarecrow. He feared they would have called him insane. The next day, Oliver was walking home from school. While doing so, he passed by the elderly couple's house. Upon looking, his heart stopped. At least 2 cop cars were present, and 1 ambulance. There was caution tape all around, and he could see stretchers being carried out with bodies covered with a white blanket. He ran up to an officer and asked what had happened. He was told that the couple were brutally murdered and mutilated last night, and asked him if he had noticed anything strange. Oliver was speechless. His voice trembled as he told them about raking leaves and described the scarecrow. They all looked at him as he mentioned the black leather jacket it was wearing. One officer came over with this exact same jacket in his hands. The officer asked Oliver if that was the jacket he was wearing, in which he answered yes. The officer holding the jacket put it in the back of the police cars and began to explain what may have happened. As it turns out, there was a serial killer on the loose. He would go to small local towns and did his tasks. He was spotted a few times wearing a leather jacket. Now that he had left it, they could now find out who he was. They thanked Oliver for explaining what he experienced, and he walked back home. When Oliver arrived home, he found a note on his bedroom door. His parents were going out for the weekend, and had left some food and money for him. They would be back on Sunday. Oliver never left the house that day. He left all windows and doors locked, and would only have a friend or 2 over instead of going outside. He invited over his cousin, Sasha. They hung out for the day, but he never mentioned the scarecrow. At around 10:30, she left to go home. Oliver watched movies and played video games for the rest of the night until around 1:30, in which he fell asleep. He was too tired to walk upstairs to his bedroom, so he slept on the couch in the living room. At 4 in the morning, he woke up to the sound of wind coming in from one of the windows in the living room. His heart pounded as he remembered locking it. He went over and opened the curtains. It had been broken open sometime that night. He froze for a minute. All he could do was think of that scarecrow and its creepy grin. Suddenly, he heard scratching. Slowly, he turned around. What he saw had kept him dead in his tracks. At the corner of the room was a scarecrow. It was on its feet, staring at him with the same grin that it had before.